How's it going, guys? We're back with another awesome reaction video. This time we have another priority request, and it's European theme parks are next level. We're going to check it out right now. Links to the original video will be in the description section down below, so make sure you go check that out, and we're going to jump right into it. It was suggested because I did the efteling reaction. So European theme parks are next level. We're going to check it out. If you want to priority request yourself, links are in the description section down below for that as well.
This is Phantasialand. Located in Brühl, Germany, on a plot of 28 hectares, a fraction smaller than Disneyland in California, the theme park attracts roughly 2 million visitors per year and contains some of the most fully realized themed roller coasters and attractions in the world. It is a picturesque and beautiful resort that resides in the middle of nowhere, inside a town of just under 50,000 people. This is Energylandia. Located in Zator, Poland, the theme park opened in 2014 with just 3 roller coasters. As of 2021, it now has 17 roller coasters, and next year it will open its 18th and 19th coaster.
Now, I wonder what the people in this town thinks of this. You know, it's just like taking over their city. I don't know.
Roller coasters, and next year it will open its 18th and 19th coaster, just shy of the world record of 20, and is among one of the top 10 most Googled tourist destinations in Europe, alongside the Eiffel Tower and the Colosseum.
Oh, wow.
Efteling, Europa Park,
Efteling.
alongside the Eiffel Tower and the Colosseum.
Okay, so that's what Efteling looks like from the outside. I did a video on Efteling, a reaction video. And again, that's why they gave me this priority suggestion. So that looks really cool. It looks like dragon claws or something. Yeah, we definitely don't have anything like that in America. Wow.
Efteling, Europa Park, Port Aventura, Tivoli Gardens, Gardaland, and Alton Towers. These are all incredible, world-class, and innovative leaders in theme parks, which happen to be based in Europe. For many people, including myself, we see quality theme parks existing within a bubble branded by Universal and Disney. Whilst other theme park operators are able to create lightning in a bottle sometimes, for most of us, the immersive themed experiences that come to mind when thinking about quality theme park attractions are those that can take us to Hogwarts Castle or a galaxy far, far away.
Right.
In the United States, the theme park industry is a beast that rests on the shoulders of giants like Universal and Disney. There are plenty more parks beyond those, but the ultimate destinations, whether through actual experiences or clever marketing, are perceived to be with these said giants. But in Europe, Disney is just another fish in a very, very big sea. Universal and Six Flags are almost nowhere to be seen, and a majority of parks are independent, privately owned, or family operated.
Well, another thing with like Disney is they're trying to jump on the trends. It's always about like the new movie that's out and stuff like that. So they're constantly having to like redo the rides and this and that. And then like with the Efteling, it's let me turn my microphone volume up here. With the Efteling, it's more fantasy based, so it's like it's gonna carry on forever, I feel like. So yeah.
Without this corporate backing, you'd be left to believe that European theme parks are a thing that you can miss out on, but the industry there is thriving and innovating at a pace that almost no other continent can keep up with. So that brings us to the question, why are European theme parks so good? Let's explore that on this episode of Review Time.
Let's explore it.
I'm your host, Dom. What makes a theme park good? Is it the rides, the theming, the uniqueness, or a combination of all of those factors? Goodness is inherently subjective. It's guaranteed to change from person to person, which presents the elephant in the room. Am I biased? There are hundreds of theme parks in Europe, and I have only visited a slither of what is to offer. Just like every industry, you are guaranteed to have your good and your bad. But the more
Yep,
I
yep.
explore what is to offer in Europe, the more I am genuinely impressed by what is out there. Adversely, it could just be that theme parks in Europe are a breath of fresh air against the ultra commercial, branded intellectual property havens that exist in the Western world.
I haven't really been to a lot of theme parks, or maybe haven't really. I've been to amusement parks. I've been to Lake Cedar Point, and there's one called Indiana Beach, and that's actually the only two I've been to. So I don't really have a whole lot of experience with this, besides just what I see on TV. But I do agree with the whole commercialization aspect of it.
European parks promote the idea of escapism, allowing you to distance yourself from the mundanity of everyday life to discover new worlds, stories, and possibilities. There was a novelty in the early days of exploring your favorite brand in a theme park, but now it's so heavily oversaturated that any opportunity to escape a possible cross
Oh
promotion is
wow.
a welcome change. But beyond a possibly biased subjectivity, there are also facts that don't add up for me. Things that make me question what the Western world is doing wrong, and what Europe is doing right. Let's start with exploring the ease of traveling around Europe. Firstly, Europe is a continent, not a country, and included
Right.
in that area described as Europe are roughly 750 million people. Specifically for this video, we're going to be focusing on countries that fall underneath the European Union, and that contains roughly 450 of the 750 million people. I'm also including the UK because it's my video and I can do what I want. The EU is a freedom to travel. You are able to leave one country and go to another freely, so long as it's also within the EU.
Yep.
This makes tourism a breeze, so the first conclusion may be that European parks are so great because they have the luxury of so many people, but oddly enough, for many theme parks on the continent, that's not the case.
Hmm.
In 2019, the top 20 most visited theme parks in Europe saw a combined attendance of 64 million guests. Now that seems like a lot, but in comparison to the United States, it was comparable to the top 4 theme parks, which also saw 64 million guests, and 3 of those were within Florida alone. Out of the 25 most visited theme parks in the world, only 4 of them were in Europe, and 2 of those were Disney theme parks.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then like Disney came after Efteling, which is this is crazy because like a lot of people, I mean, around here in America doesn't even know Efteling's a thing. I didn't even know that it existed.
Even though the EU has a substantial population, theme park attendance is relatively low compared to places like the United States, Japan, and China. This isn't an entirely fair comparison, though. Places like Walt Disney World and Universal Studios in Florida, a state which alone saw over 90 million attendees at its theme parks in 2019, are advertised as worldwide theme park destinations. A lot of people fly into Orlando, visit some of these theme parks, and fly straight out without visiting much of the United States.
Yeah.
In comparison, there's nothing really like this in Europe. Some could argue that maybe Disneyland Paris is similar, but realistically, it doesn't have enough to support just flying into France for the theme park and then leaving.
That is true. That's a very interesting thought. I never really thought about that. People do. They just come in, go to the theme parks and leave. But see, then again, in Florida, there's so many theme parks right there in like a cluster though. So it's just a commercialized zone. Whereas in France or in Paris, you wouldn't have that. And who's going to Paris and not looking at Paris? I mean, you can't, Florida, there's nothing there to keep you around besides the theme park.
It's a 2 to 3 day experience at most, and for most people, Europe is really, really far away. Extending
Yeah.
on this, theme parks in Europe appear to be complementary to travel than actual destinations themselves. On average, they're smaller and catered to families, which in the US is a market dominated by Disney and Universal. Regional operators in the United States such as Six Flags, Cedar Fair, and SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment, who hold a vast majority of the other top amusement parks in the US, know that they can't compete with these behemoths. So instead, they dedicate themselves to primarily thrill rides and attractions, which draws in teenagers,
Okay.
young adults, and couples.
Yeah, see, I don't like the thrill rides. The more I get older, the more I don't like the thrill aspect of it. Roller coasters and stuff, I don't know. Sometimes it's a bit much.
Unlike some resorts, a majority of European theme parks aren't designed to trap families for weeks at a time, like in Orlando, as there is so much to see and do outside of these theme parks that people want to do shorter trips to them as part of their travel and not base their trips entirely around them.
Yep.
Whilst Disney and Merlin have a fairly strong foothold over the family market in Europe, a lot of theme parks beyond these major operators create comfortably balanced parks for everyone. It's not uncommon for these parks to have world-class dark rides with animatronics, immersive theming, and innovative technology.
Yes, these dark rides. That is amazing. I've seen on the efteling all the dark rides and the fantasy and the dark mythical creatures. Man, that is next level. That's not something I've never experienced anything like that. I would love to.
I'm about to slaughter some names, but Symbolica at Efteling,
Efteling, yeah.
Basilisk at Legendia, Mouse A Chocolate at Phantasialand, Tomb Blaster at Chessington World of Adventures, and Challenge of Tutankhamun at Wallaby, Belgium. Many of these parks also have imposing roller coasters, but keeping their focus on more than just one demographic is a nice change of pace. It allows them to capture both families and thrill seekers.
I gotta see that again.
Coasters, but keeping their focus on more than just one demographic is a nice change of pace.
Right there. Wow.
To capture both families and thrill seekers, but because people aren't going for weeks at a time, they can go and have a satisfying experience and then head on their way, exploring Europe. Now, just because their parks don't attract huge amounts of visitors doesn't mean that Europe's geography doesn't give them an advantage. Firstly, it means that those Europeans that are interested in theme parks have the bonus of being within close proximity to a lot of them. It's fairly inexpensive to travel across Europe once you're there, and at the time of recording, you can fly between the two largest theme parks in Europe, Europa Park and Efteling, for $75 US.
All right, so yeah, with the travel aspect, everything's a lot smaller over there. You know, a lot of those countries are very tiny, so it's kind of like us. You know, you could just drive to 2-3 states away, no big deal. Over there, you know, it's just countries. They're driving, 2-3 countries away, so a lot smaller, and all the countries are right there next to each other, so it gives you the more opportunities, I believe.
In Europe, Europa Park and Efteling for $75 US. But there's a consequence to this. Competition. The density and ease of travel around Europe means that if somebody doesn't like what you're offering, then you can easily move on to the next theme park. Oftentimes, locals may not have a choice, but travelers certainly do, and for any park wanting to be taken seriously, this means that they need to be thrifty about what they're offering. This thriftiness can come from companies they work with to create and manufacture their attractions.
Yeah, but what he's saying is like all the theme parks being close together over there. Florida in Orlando has an assload of theme parks, and they're all right there. So there's that. I mean,
B&M, Mack Rides, Intamin, Vekoma, and Zamperla are 5 of the most prominent theme park manufacturers in the world. It is likely that if you visited a theme park at least once in your life, then you've ridden one of these manufacturers' rides, and they're all based in Europe. This makes working with these companies a lot easier, with many of their rides. When you visited a theme park at least once in your life, then you've ridden one of these manufacturers' rides, and they're all based in Europe.
Well, you guys are the theme park kings, evidently. Shout out to the Europeans.
Makes working with these companies a lot easier, with many of their rides also being manufactured on the same continent. It means that the logistics of getting the attractions to their parks is nowhere near as expensive or problematic as it would be to ferry the attractions across the world. This proximity can promote beneficial relationships for both parks and manufacturers. Take, for example,
This place, Fantasialand, this looks incredible.
across the world. This proximity
Yeah.
can promote beneficial relationships for both parks and manufacturers. Take, for example,
Wow.
Fantasialand. With only 2 million guests per year, not even making Europe's top 10, it was able to create a fully realized and immersive land depicting a steampunk city around an incredible prototype flying roller coaster from Vekoma called Fly.
This doesn't even look real. Like, this looks like something you'd see out of a damn movie. Wow. Like, it was showing clips of this in the beginning. I legit thought it was just movie scenes. This is an actual place. Wow. And you guys are like right there next to it. That's crazy.
This roller coaster wouldn't look out of place in a Disney or Universal theme park, yet it's hanging out in rural Germany. Whilst details and statistics of the ride are closely guarded by the theme park, there is some credence to the idea that Vekoma helped to fund the attraction at Fantasialand. The ride system used for Fly is a prototype for a new generation of flying roller coasters. It features brand new trains and loading procedures, which solves many of the logistical problems present in the current models. By pitching in, Vekoma has an opportunity to promote the attraction and use it as a functional sales pitch for those interested in purchasing the roller coaster model, whilst Fantasialand can use the saved funds to enhance the aesthetics around the land and ride.
Wow.
Things are even better for—
Now, I wonder about this fog. Is that something that they add in? Like fog machines? That's really cool. I'm like missing what he's even talking about. I'm just like captivated by the depth of this place. That's insane.
The attraction and use it as a functional sales pitch for those interested in purchasing the roller coaster model, whilst Fantasialand can use the saved funds to enhance the aesthetics around the land and ride. Things are even better for Europa Park, the second most popular theme park in Europe after Disneyland Paris. Their parent company
Europa.
is Mack Rides, which means that they get the best of both.
I've been to the Epcot Center in Florida. That big ass ball on the right hand side. There's one like that in the Epcot Center, and you go inside of it, and it's like a whole ride, and it's like the time lapse of the universe or like humanity. It's really cool.
Paris. Their parent company is Mack Rides, which means that they get the best of both worlds. They are able to create world-class attractions for themselves and sell those to theme parks around the world. We are seeing this with Steel Taipan at Dreamworld in Australia. This is a brand new roller coaster in Australia with an almost identical track layout to Bluefire, which opened at Europa Park in 2009. Dreamworld has customized the ride with a new triple launch, but beyond that, it's almost identical. Now, when it comes to theming on—
So they're recycling and reusing it. I don't know. It needs to be unique for each park. I feel like I don't know about that.
Triple launch, but beyond that, it's almost identical. Now, when it comes to theming, on average, theme parks in Europe have a much higher standard across the board compared to their worldwide counterparts. Now, this could possibly be for similar reasons as to why Disneyland Paris's castle is the way that it is. Since Europe is home to the castles that inspired Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty Castle at the US parks, Imagineers were required to reimagine the castle concept. Instead of being realistic, the idea was instead to be more grandiose and fantastical.
Yep.
Europe is a gorgeous, picturesque continent filled with both natural and man-made beauty. Its history fills the landscape with distinct architecture, including castles, and these historic attractions are often free to view by just visiting the many towns, cities, and landmarks around the continent. This means that for both tourists and locals, The standards are exceptionally high. They're not going to settle for lackluster theming when the real world already provides such a fantastical experience.
Wow, that does make he does make a good point because you don't see that kind of stuff here. So it's just insane to actually see it, and it is a lot more grand. Wow, you guys are already just living in a nicer place in general as far as scenery and architecture with the castles. Man, takes a lot to impress you Europeans, right?
But another benefit is that European theme parks are generally smaller to their international counterparts, which means that they have less area to work with, which can help to reduce costs. So are European theme parks better? Or are they just different? For
I
the
don't
most
know.
part, European theme parks seem to be more bang for your buck. They seem to make their lower attendance go further. They're more innovative beyond just trying to break thrill ride records, and their standards seem higher on average. But they also seem smaller and less grand in scope. The lowered importance of intellectual property in most theme parks around Europe is a breath of fresh air. And even without this, the industry has shown steady growth over the last several years, whilst Disney, who are pretty partial to having intellectual property in their parks, have actually seen a decline in attendance.
Oh, I bet.
Whilst COVID has made things difficult for the entire industry, I'm excited to see how Europe bounces back from this. Now, do all of these things make European theme parks better?
Maybe.
Well, that's a matter of opinion. But the fact is that Europe is different, and many international theme park operators could learn from this thriving industry. From the home of all things theme parks, I'm Dom for Review Time.
Well, that was pretty awesome. Yeah, we don't have anything like that here at all. I mean, we have theme parks, but it's not like the depth of the fantasy and the immersion. I mean, that Fantasia land, that's next level stuff right there. Um, wow. So yeah, that was a priority suggestion. If you want to make a priority request, links down below. On the way down, hit like, hit subscribe, and you guys have a super fun, awesome day. And I will catch you in the next video. Take care.